Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a quick first impressions for you on the SOG Trident XR or AT XR. This is a knife that I've kind of been interested in for a while now. In fact, this is one of the knives that got hung up in customs at one point, so there's a bit of a story here, but nonetheless, um, was able to pick one of these up, and I'm pretty happy that I did because, well, this is not the most loved knife I've ever seen. It's still pretty cool and very, very satisfying for a couple of reasons, which I'll share with you in terms of, my initial thoughts on this knife. So let's do a quick rundown here of features and size. So up front, we have, of course, SOG's Cryo D2. It is a black coated blade. This one happens to be the Tanto. This is also available in a clip point. We have the XR lock and a safety because this is assisted. So it springs out with a fair bit of energy, pretty enjoyable, pretty satisfying. That's probably the big story here. This is the funnest assisted knife that I've had in a while. And SOG has done a really nice job keeping this fast and smooth, still very solid lockup. The XR lock has kind of been a game changer for SOG. They had really struggled, and they had the arc lock and then the fake arc lock that were on the original SOG Trident. Um, and that thing was just a mess, like complete disaster. I absolutely hated that lock. I've never felt one, without blade play. But these days, now that they're able to go to, that Benchmade's um, copyright is over, SOG can use essentially their lock and make a really decent knife. Okay, these are a little on the high side in terms of cost for what you're getting, so I've got to complain about that right up front. That's definitely a first impression. D2 steel and the FRN scales instead of G10 or something better. That's a little bit of a disappointment. It is a full stainless steel liner, although they cut a great big hole in it that I don't feel like is necessary, and actually I think detracts from the design a little bit. But the idea is that you've got a belt cutter here, or maybe a clothing cutter where you can't really cut yourself, but you could get a piece of clothing in there and cut it, which is fine, I suppose. As a first responder, I'm nearly never going to use something like this. I've got a pair of proper medical shears in my pocket at all times when I'm, responding to a medical call or even on a fire scene at all. Um, it does have this clip, which is small and deep carry. I really, really like the way they've done the clip on this. I tend to like these smaller clips. I like it on the Buck 110, which has it on their plastic version. I really like Benchmade's, short deep carry clip like this, and I certainly like it when SOG does it as well. What this doesn't do is wrap around the knife, which SOG used to always do, and so it's really nice to see that. We do have this lanyard hole at the end, which is kind of big and obtrusive. Um, I suppose it could be used for like a pommel strike. It's and so in that situation, it would be fine. There is some jimping on it, which I suppose you might think about. Yeah, no, it's not comfortable. Like that, if you're going to use this in reverse grip, you just move your thumb to here or here. All right. This is pretty uncomfortable. You're not going to probably want to do that. All right. But again, the only time I ever hold my knife in a reverse grip is when I'm showing you guys what it might be like. It does have that lock. So if it's locked, yeah, you just can't open the knife. Um, I've never had it lock when I didn't want it to. I've never had any knife lock when I didn't want it to. So that's not really a huge concern of mine. I will say this is a nice big knife, and I do like the overall design. I feel like the slot for clothing cutting or seatbelt cutting just detracts from the knife a little bit, but it's not the end of the world. In hand, it feels really, really good. I have to say that it does not. It feels quite. It feels like quality. It feels durable. So that's a nice touch. There is, by the way, a little carbide glass breaker right here by the tip of my finger. Again, strange location for a glass breaker. We've seen that on a couple of knives before. And, for those who are maybe not knife guys or, those who, maybe don't have a lot of experience as a first responder, that's an appealing thing. But again, I think, I've never used a glass breaker like this. The Rescue Me is about the best thing you can get. It's like $8 at your hardware store. If you don't have a Rescue Me, you should definitely get one, because that's very, very useful, and there's no risk to your hand, and there's even less risk to the person that you may be trying to get out of a car if you ever have to use a glass breaker, even if that person is yourself. All right, so um, back to the knife itself. Of course, you guys know me. I like large knives, and this one is on the large side, 8 3/4. If you don't add this lanyard attachment point, including the lanyard attachment point, it's basically an extra 1/4 inch. So that puts it up to 9 inches overall. The blade itself is 3 11/16. So big, substantial blade here, flat ground, not super, super thick, but certainly a substantial blade, and it does have a nice edge on it. Let me throw in, actually, let me finish my numbers here. It is 5 1/4 inches closed. Okay, and again, that's without the lanyard hole, so it goes up to obviously 5 1/2 if you add that 1/4 inch for a lanyard attachment point. The grip area here is 4 1/8 inches, so quite a generous grip area. Even if you have really, really large hands, you should be more than comfortable. And the weight on this is 5.15 ounces. I think the obvious comparison here is going to be the Recon 1. Very similar size. Obviously, the Recon 1 is in a steel that I like better at S35 VN, and of course with the satin finish. But the Recon 1 lacks the dramatic assist that we get on the Trident. Of course, the Trident lacks the strength we're going to get from the Triad lock. I know Trident, Triad, whatever. Anyway, let me get this guy back out of the way and give you my overall thoughts on the SOG Trident AT. This is the last of the AT knives that I've wanted to try and haven't got a chance to, or the XR, AT XR. We've had the Flash, we've had the Aegis. We were just waiting for the Trident. And so being able to have this and share it with you is pretty exciting. And it is a nice knife. Like, I'm not complaining. It's $100, which is a little more than I want to pay for D2 and FRN. But to go to S35 VN and G10 on the Recon 1 is going to cost you like another $40 or so. At least I think that's still the going rate for a Recon 1, $140 around there. Anyway, it's not the worst price that I've ever seen on a knife, but it's certainly not a super high value option. Especially up here in Canada, where you're going to be paying a premium for this. I think these are probably like $160 or something, which is a little crazy. So what are my first impressions? Nice knife, enjoyable action, very satisfying action. In fact, it's one of those guilty pleasures. I know, I'm supposed to be sophisticated and have mature tastes, but there is something really fun about this blade just flying out at this ridiculous speed, and even having a little bit of kick when it fully deploys. I do enjoy that. I know some of you will as well, and I know the rest of you enjoy it. You just don't want to admit it. So that's a major selling feature for me. The action on this is much nicer than the Flash. I like the design of the SOG Flash XR AT a little bit better, or AT XR or whatever. I like the design of the Flash a little bit better, but man, the action is messed up on those. And when I got this, I was at a retail store, Smoky Mountain Knife Works, and I was able to handle a couple of flashes, and they were pretty stiff. They still have that issue with deployment, which I think it's something about the geometry of the thumb stud, or maybe even the geometry of the way the spring assist implements on those Flash knives. This one, however, very comfortable, very enjoyable, and so for that reason, I kind of like this. Okay, even though there's a couple little hiccups here. Overall, I think if you like this, and you're thinking you don't mind spending $100 on it, I think it's a pretty decent buy. All right. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Go over and check White Mountain Knives. Check out Blade Ops. Use those links. It's a huge, huge help to the channel. If Anyway, sorry, there was one more thing I was going to say, and I've completely forgotten what it was going to be. So you're going to have to hear it maybe in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll talk to you soon.